Hey guys, we are going to talk about the standard form of linear equations, and we're going to do a few examples as well. So, the standard form of a linear equation is given as ax plus by is equal to c. And this is our standard form of our linear equations, or you perhaps may have heard it called the general form as well. That means the same thing. What you need to pay attention to is that all of our variable terms, all of the terms that have variables, x and y, are on the left-hand side of our equal sign, and the constant, which is our c, is on the right-hand side, or it's on a side by itself. And a, b, c, both or all represent numbers, okay? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and do some examples. Example number 1 says, x plus 3y minus 4 is equal to 0. Now our goal here is to write this equation in standard form. So our standard form, as you recall in our earlier slide, is ax plus by is equal to c. Notice that our variable terms, again, are on one side on its own, and our constant is on the other side. So that's our goal. Now let's go ahead and look at what we have here. In this case, we have everything on one side of the equation. So our variable terms are x and 3y, and our constant is negative 4. And so we want to get our constant on its own, so we need to get that to the right-hand side of our equation. And what are we going to do that? Well, remember, if we're ever going to move any term from either side of our equal sign, we apply opposite operation, so it's minus 4. So therefore, we're going to add 4 to both sides. Plus 4 of our equation. When we do that, we are left with x plus 3y is equal to 4. And we have accomplished the goal of writing our equation in standard form. How do you know? Well, our variable terms are isolated on one side of the equation, and our constant is on the other. Let's look at another example. Here we have a point and the slope is given of our line. And we are to write this in standard form, or write an equation given the point and the slope in standard form. Well, if you are given something like this, then what should come to your mind is point-slope form of a linear equation. And so we're going to go ahead and start there, because we know that if we're giving a point and we're given a slope, we can at least start with something that we're familiar with. All right, so the point-slope form of a linear equation is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Now in this equation, what we're looking to manipulate, or the values that are going to be changing, the terms that are changing, is the y1, the m, and the x1. The x and y remain the same. They are our variables, okay? So looking at this point that you've been given, you simply go ahead and label it x1, y1, all right? You only have one point. And then you already know that the m, or the slope, is 4. So we're going to go ahead and substitute those values into our point-slope form. Y minus y1, which is 3, is equal to m, which is our slope, multiplied by x minus x1, which is negative 3. Now take a look at our parentheses. We have a minus, we're subtracting a negative, and so if you're subtracting a negative, that turns into a positive. So let's go ahead and rewrite this equation. Y minus 3 is equal to 4 times x plus 3. Now, with that being said, remember that our goal when it comes to standard form is to go ahead and get all of our variable terms to the left and our constant on the right. In our standard form, and just so you are reminded, ax plus by is equal to c, there are no parentheses. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get rid of the parentheses that are on the right-hand side of my equation first. And the way I do that is by distributing the 4 times the first term, which is x, and then I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 4 by the 3, which is our second term, in parentheses. So we have y minus 3 is equal to 4 times x is 4x, and then 4 times 3 is 12. Now that that's the case, we're going to go ahead and isolate our variable terms on one side and our constant terms on the other. I'm going to go ahead and remove my negative 3 first by adding 3 to both sides. When I do that, I'm left with y is equal to 4x, and 12 plus 3 is 15. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to the fact that I only added the 12 to the 3 because they are like terms. In other words, the 12 and the 3 do not have a variable, so they can be combined. Now, let's keep going. We now need to get our 4x on the left-hand side with our y because our goal is to get our variable terms on their own. So we have a positive 4x, so we must subtract 4x from both sides. On the left-hand side, we are left with y minus 4x. We cannot combine them because they are not like terms. In other words, the y is a variable and the x is another variable. They are two different terms. And that is equal to the right-hand side where we are left with the 15. And so we've reached our goal for our standard form. Our y minus 4x equal to 15 is our standard form of a linear equation whose point is negative 3, 3, and whose slope is 4. Final example. Here we're given 2 points, and we're going to have to write an equation in standard form given these 2 points. Well, we can go ahead and start with something that might stick out to you, and let's start, of course, with the standard form. What does that look like? Ax plus by is equal to c. Well, we cannot jump to our standard form right away from the 2 points that have been given, but we can start using our point slope form, which is given as y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. The values that we need to find out are the y1, x1, and the m. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with finding our slope of the line that goes through these 2 points. Our slope, if you remember our slope equation, m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, or rise over run, change in y over change in x. So we're going to go ahead and label our points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and substitute them into our equation to find our slope. 2 is our y2 minus y1 is negative 3 divided by x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is negative 3. Here we have us subtracting a negative number, and remember, when we subtract a negative, that becomes positive. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that 2 plus 3 over 7 plus 3, which is equal to 5 over 10, which simplifies to 1/2. So our slope m is 1/2. Now let's take a look at our point slope form one more time. We know what m is, it is 1/2, and now we need to substitute x1 and our y1. Well, when we were finding the slope, we had to label our points x1, y1, x2, y2. So simply use the point that you've labeled using those notations, x1 and y1. So we have y minus y1, which is negative 3, is equal to m, which is 1/2, times x minus x1, which is negative 3. Keep in mind again, we have a subtraction of a negative number, which ends up becoming a positive number, or adding the number that was being subtracted. So y plus 3 is equal to 1/2 x plus 3. Now we have a point slope form, and we can go ahead and write this equation in standard form. We're going to start first by getting rid of the parentheses on the right hand side. So we can distribute the 1/2 to both of the terms inside the parentheses in order to do that. So y plus 3 is equal to 1/2 x plus 3/2. And now we want to get our variable terms to one side and our constant terms to the other. The way we're going to do that is going to subtract 3 from both sides. And we have y is equal to 1/2 x minus 1/2, well, 3/2, sorry. And then we're going to subtract 1/2 from both sides to get 1/2 x, to get our variable terms on one side of the equation. And we have y minus 1/2 x is equal to negative 3/2. And this is our standard form of the equation given the 2 points above.